It was another close one for the Cardinals. No margin for error, so Masyn Winn didn't make one. What's going on, everyone, and welcome into this edition of b-schaeff Daily. Brenden Schaeffer with you. Tuesday evening, August 6th, 2024. Cardinals get back into the win column on Tuesday night at Busch with a 4-3 closely contested victory over the Tampa Bay Rays. Game one of that series. It's the first time in about a month that the Cardinals win the first game of a series. That had been a point of contention for the Redbirds recently, but they find a way getting a win in a series opener for the first time since July 5th in Washington, D.C. Cardinals 4, Rays 3, as Sonny Gray gives the Cardinals a solid performance. 7 innings, just 2 runs allowed. He puts that together after having a little bit of trouble in the early going in this game. Gave up both Tampa Bay runs on a 2-run homer in the first inning. But from there, Sonny Gray was able to settle in and give the Cardinals more than a fighting chance in this one. He was really good, and the offense got all that it was going to get, but all that it needed with a pair of 2-run homers in the bottom of the second inning. First one by Victor Scott II, who hits his first career big league homer. Was a really cool moment to see for him, but the Cardinals weren't done there in that second inning. Masyn Winn gets on base, and Tommy Pham hits another homer for the Cardinals. How good of an addition has he been since the trade deadline period? The Cardinals pick him up, and he has slotted in and has instantly become one of the team's most productive players, and his run of success continuing on Tuesday night. Cardinals win this one, and boy, did they ever need it after the way the Chicago Cubs series went and then losing to the Mets on Monday the way that they did. Just not really much of a fight in that solo game against New York. This was one that you can at least feel good about if you're a Cardinals fan. Look, it wasn't perfect. I still think this offense is going to have to figure some things out. I still think if you look at the way the Cardinals have performed with runners in scoring position, it is a concern. They're over 6 with RISP tonight. They're over 7 with RISP on Monday. I believe that puts them something in the range of 3 for their last 36 over the span, however many games that's been. I mean, they have had some real woes in that regard. And if you look overall at the Cardinals offense, they're not even a top half offense at this point. They're still kind of shaded toward the lower half of the league. Not quite bottom third, but teetering on that edge. If you look at runs scored and if you look at OPS, they're about right in that range, 20th, 21st in those various categories. But with RISP, it's even worse, and that's a trend that we have seen throughout the season. But the Cardinals didn't need any RISP hits tonight because they were able to get a couple of 2-run homers. But credit to Sonny Gray for being able to settle it in the way that he did. Credit to Andrew Kittredge, who threw a clean 8th inning. And then it was Ryan Helsley in the 9th inning, and it was not altogether clean as he ends up giving up a run. And I'll tell you what, folks, the tying run was about millimeters from being able to score against Helsley after the final batter of the game hit a ground ball that deflected off of Helsley. Masyn Winn was ready for it, though. And on the first base side of the second base bag, Nolan Gorman said, "Hey, bud, it's yours." And Masyn threw a strike to first, just getting the runner at first base in time, which meant that the guy from third base was unable to score. Would have been the tying run. So even in a game where the Cardinals do get the job done, the margins are so incredibly thin. And that's really been the story of the season for the Cardinals so far this year. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts, comments, questions, and concerns about the Cardinals. You can just drop those into the comments section below. But the Cardinals got what they needed here with the 3 teams that were tied for the wild card spots, the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves. All 3 of them tied coming into Tuesday's baseball. One of them lost, which was the Braves, which means the Cardinals with their win do gain a game. And now it's actually the Atlanta Braves that are sitting in third place for a wild card spot. Cardinals had been 4 games out, and now they're 3 games out. So get those thoughts into the comments section and make sure to hit the subscribe button on the channel. We're getting closer to 4,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which has been just not even quite a year and a half since we started things up April of 2023. So appreciate everybody for helping to grow the channel. Let your Cardinal fan friends know that we're doing a daily podcast over here, b-schaeff Daily. You can also subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you'd like to enjoy the daily Cardinals content that we are putting out over here on the channel. But let's go ahead and get into a discussion of tonight's game. I want to start where it finished with the game-ending throw by Masyn Winn to be able to hold it right there for St. Louis. If that throw does not get made by Masyn Winn, and it was a very strange play, the deflection off of Helsley, if he doesn't calmly under the pressure of needing to do it quickly, settle that ball and make the decision to throw it, gun it with everything he's got. I still haven't seen a velocity on the throw from StatCast. A lot of times the fielding numbers for StatCast maybe take some time to get to, but certain MLB reporters will have access to that. And hopefully by the time everybody wakes up on Wednesday, maybe somebody will have put that number out there. I'll be curious to see. A lot of times it maybe looks faster than it is, but felt like Masyn put just about everything into that one that he could, because it was the difference between potentially going to extra innings or being able to win the game right there. And look, the Cardinals would have had a chance to bat in the bottom of the ninth, but that's not what you're looking to do. You're looking to secure the win on the merit of, one of the runs that Masyn scored himself by scoring on the Tommy Pham homer, on the merit of Victor Scott's first career homer, and Sonny Gray settling in after a tough first inning that lasted about 30 pitches for Sonny Gray. So everything started really poorly for the Cardinals, but then it turned around rather quickly, and they were able to hold it there up until the very end. Let's hear from Masyn Winn, courtesy of Bally Sports Midwest, on the Cardinals win and his game-ending throw.
Yeah, it was fun. I just wanted to get the game over with. Really didn't want to go to extras. We're using our closer there, so just trying to make a play. I heard Gorham say, "You got it." I didn't even realize how close I was to DeLuca on that play, but, it was just real quick, kind of like a double play ball. I had to get rid of it, but, I'm just glad I made the play there.
When you uncork it, do you think you have a shot at him right there? Or?
Yeah, for sure. When I threw it, I knew it was out. For the most part, if I throw a ball really hard, they're out almost 100% of the time. So, if he was safe, I probably would have just eaten it. But, I thought I had a good chance.
That's so awesome. And he's not even being cocky. He's just being accurate. For the most part, he says, if I throw it, they're out. That's just kind of what he's used to. And it had time to settle his feet, make an accurate throw, and it was exactly what the Cardinals needed. I made the joke after. I said probably somebody needs to get some ice for Paul Goldschmidt's hand, because he did have to fire it in there with some mustard. But Masyn makes the play, and the Cardinals get the win, kind of it can't entirely be that the bad taste of the Chicago series and that Mets game is behind the Cardinals and out of the mouths, but it at least works toward that end, right? To be able to get the first one of this Rays series, you got to win this series. With the precedent that has been set by the Cardinals, where they're at record-wise coming into Tuesday, they were just a game above 500 with 49 games to play. Talked about it on the big show this afternoon, but basically coming in, you have to go 30-19 the rest of the way to get to 87 wins. And coming into Tuesday, 87.48 wins is the pace that all the wildcard teams were on, essentially. So 87 isn't even guaranteed to get you there. Kind of goes without saying, the Cardinals are going to need to win the rest of their series, and you're going to lose some, obviously. But for the ones you lose, you almost might have to make up for it with a sweep at some point thereafter. That's going to get difficult mathematically quickly. Now, that being said, the teams ahead of you can help out by going on losing skids themselves. And really, because of the way it works out, with the three wildcard teams right now being so closely bunched together, only one or two of them should have to falter. But then you do have to think about a team like the Mets is still ahead of the Cardinals, so there's still going to be some consideration there. You're going to have to do some work to leap over the teams in front of you. And for right now, there is still enough time on the schedule for the math to be mathing. But eventually, if the Cardinals have a more prolonged period of struggle, the math may not work in their favor once you get deeper into August and then you're into September, and suddenly it'll become very clear the mountain that the Cardinals would then have to climb if they don't start doing some of the work here in August. And we know that Cardinals have one of the 3 or 4 or 5 toughest schedules remaining in MLB this season, simply because, they kind of didn't take enough advantage of that July schedule, kind of late June, early July schedule that featured a good number of non-playoff opponents. And even late July, the Cardinals didn't really fully capitalize on what was, at the time, maybe one of the easier schedules remaining. But now you look at some of the teams left, the Cardinals still have to play. The Rays are a winning club right now. The Royals, they'll see for 2 in KC over the coming weekend. At Cincinnati, that should be one the Cardinals really, if you're looking to try to circle on your calendar the chance for a sweep, that might be one that you do want to try to pick up if you're the Cardinals. We'll see if they're able to capitalize on that. But then you'll welcome the Dodgers to town later in the month. Brewers come to town. That's going to be a huge homestand. Twins are in a wild card chase themselves. The Padres, obviously. The Yankees. I'm just listing off teams that are playoff teams. The Brewers, the Mariners are the first one that may be skeptical, but they're still locked into an AL West race. You get the Cincinnati Reds, and then you go to Toronto. Those are two teams, like that's where it can kind of lighten up a little bit in September. But then it goes Pittsburgh, Cleveland. They're one of the best teams in baseball. And then you do finish up at Rockies, at San Francisco. Very interesting to finish up the year on a West Coast swing, but that is what the Cardinals have in store this year. And, for better or worse, the Rockies are not going to be very competitive by that point. I almost called them the San Francisco 49ers. The Giants, they're probably going to be out of the race by then as well. But I listed off a heck of a lot of playoff teams there that the Cardinals still see toward the end of the season. So it's not getting any easier. Their level of play is going to have to go up, is really all it is. And look, in a game like Tuesday is a great example. They got the win. They got a couple of clutch swings. Really cool to see Victor Scott contributing, like I talked about on the podcast they did this morning regarding Monday's game. Victor's going to be in the lineup. I think he can replace defensively largely what Michael Ciani has done. But offensively, what's that going to look like? Well, Victor Scott II has a new swing, basically, that he uncorked the last few weeks of his time in Memphis, working with former Cardinal Ryan Ludwig as a coach down there to basically get more athletic in his swing, is the way that it's been described. And if you look at the side-by-side, it's very clear that that's what's going on. I think Jeff Jones had, he quote tweeted one of the side-by-side comparison videos. Basically, Jeff said, I'm not, the best at noticing this, but it's kind of hard not to notice when you look at the side-by-side of Victor Scott. He's in his legs more. He's just ready to hit in a way that it's almost kind of a wonder how that wasn't the case previously. But, none of us out here are professional coaches, so to find the way to unlock something like that within a player is a skill in and of itself. And for whatever reason, Ryan Ludwig at the AAA level has been able to do it. And then we'll go down on the farm in a little bit to tell you more about Jordan Walker's recent outburst, and he's continuing to swing the bat well. Maybe Ryan Ludwig is working with Jordan Walker as well to sort of revamp what he's been doing down there recently. I mean, that's significant if the Cardinals can find a way to kind of lock it in for some of these guys. And Ludwig, there, I was typing, looking at the press release to make sure I gave the proper titling to Ryan Ludwig, who was announced all the way back in January that he was going to be involved in some capacity. But his official title is special assistant, special advisor. Him and Jason Isringhausen have been special advisors, and that kind of gives them the freedom to rove and roam around in whatever roles and whatever time frame that they're going to be contributing. But it sounds as though Ryan Ludwig has certainly been contributing down in AAA, and Victor Scott II is seeing a swing that's generating more power, which makes sense. If you're just basically swinging with your upper half, you're not going to have as much power. Victor Scott, he got underneath the ball tonight and sent it all the way out to right field. Was really cool to see. And then Tommy Pham just nuked one to the left for a 2-run shot. And that's not really surprising to see from anybody. Tommy has just been, he's just been cooking since he came back to the Cardinals. That guy wants to be a part of a potential postseason run. Was in the World Series last year with the D-backs and obviously just fell short of winning it. And now at age 36, Tommy Pham is, I think, in the right place at the right time to be able to help propel the Cardinals in whatever way he can at this point. He's had, what's it been? At least 3 multi-hit games, I believe, maybe 4 multi-hit games since rejoining the Cardinals, and another one of them tonight as he just continues the tear that he's been on. Trying to find the exact numbers of that for Tommy Pham since rejoining the team. But he's certainly been contributing. Why even have any pretense about it? He's batting number 2 in the lineup tonight against the lefty. Probably should continue that. And even against the righty, I don't mind having him in there in a pretty prominent role. That has meant kind of reconfiguration for Nolan Gorman. Gorman at times, he was in there tonight, went 1 for 4 against the lefty starter, was actually in the lineup. Pedro Pages had a 2-hit game. So, there wasn't a lot of action tonight for the Cardinals. Pham had a 2-hit game with a homer. Pages 2-hit game. And Pages' 2-out single, by the way, in that second inning. Inning doesn't happen without that base hit by Pages. The whole rally starts from there. Kind of an interesting sort of rally. But with 2 outs, they had nobody on base. They had no action. Pages gets the base knock. Scott homer. Winn finds himself on base thereafter. Winn tonight was 1 for 2, also reached base via walk. And then Tommy Pham hits the homer. So all of that coming with 2 outs. Cardinals don't do diddly the rest of the game. It's just kind of crazy to think about the way this Cardinal offense has had to sort of do it in bunches, and then if it doesn't happen in that one inning almost, it seems like it's not going to happen at all. But Tommy Pham, by the way, since joining the Cardinals, 1159 is the OPS. He's hitting 379, on basing 400, slugging 759. Just been an extra base hit machine since joining the Cardinals. 3 doubles, a triple, and 2 homers in 29 at-bats. I think I traded for him in fantasy, actually, in one of my leagues recently. Hope I remembered to put him in my lineup because, I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep this up, but the motivation for Tommy Pham and what he's doing is certainly there. But for the Cardinals to, really feel like they're going to get it going, I think it has to happen more often in more than one inning. We're going to continue to talk about, can they find who's the spark? Well, Tommy can obviously be one of the sparks. But Contreras, maybe not as strong at the plate right now. The OPS down to 844. Goldie is on a long 0 for right now. He and Contreras both had a walk tonight, but long 0 for stretch for Goldie that he's in the middle of right now. Something like 15, 16 in a row. Arenado was 1 for 4 tonight. Had an at-bat with the bases loaded where he grounded into a double play. Swinging at, I think it was the first pitch again, pitch out of the strike zone. He's kind of been a detriment right now in the middle of the order. OPS still at 704. But man, there are some moments that stick out in the memory right now for Arenado offensively that have just not savvy baseball. I don't know, a little antsy at the plate, swinging at all these first pitches and in situations where, it's just coming on the heels of a guy getting walked. That's happened a couple of times where we talked about it at the Wrigley series, but you have a 2-0 count coming off of multiple walks in a row, and to swing at a pitch way outside, I believe that was the game Javier Assad was pitching. So, these are the moments where when you think about the Cardinals 0 for 6 tonight with RISP, this is why the game in the late innings was close. It shouldn't have been. Honestly, you should find a way to get at least one of those swings in 6 at-bats with RISP, and maybe it's not 4-2 going into the 9th. It's 5-2, 6-2, and you have a little bit more breathing room. Now, that still might have necessitated using Kittredge and using Ryan Helsley if it's still a 3-run game and maybe even a 4-run game, depending on, the matchups and everything like that. But Ryan Helsley gets his 35th save, but you end up using him in this game, and something might still be kind of up with Helsley in terms of having the trust in the fastball. It seemed like today he was more willing to throw it. Started off with several fastballs and was willing to bunch them multiple times in a row. It's actually how he ended the game. Taylor Walls only saw fastballs from Ryan Helsley in a 6-pitch at bat. So that's honestly encouraging to see. I still think, though, the mix is what you want. You can throw 4 or 5, 6 fastballs in a row, okay, but trying to mix them within at-bats you would think would be kind of the way. But then again, Ryan Helsley, Pedro Pajes, Wilson when he's catching, these guys are going to know the tendencies of these hitters, and clearly they wanted to pound fastballs to Taylor Walls, but ended up, not always seeing the strike zone with it. And there was a point at which, I'm trying to remember which batter it was, but there was some conversation in the on-deck circle between, 2 Rays about maybe, it seemed as though, and the broadcast kind of picked up on this, it seemed as though they could have been discussing a tell if there is one going on with Helsley, and we know that's been a topic of conversation with Helsley facing the Cubs and the rough numbers he's had against the Cubs this year. But is there still maybe something going on with the fastball? I would think maybe not the case if Helsley was willing to throw 6 of them to end the game to Taylor Walls, but regardless, it's still kind of something that is being thrown around and discussed. Didn't see any curveballs tonight from Helsley, but ended up being kind of a lengthy inning. He threw 25 pitches in that 9th inning, so we'll see if that puts him out of commission for tomorrow or if he's able to bounce back if needed. But that's kind of where the Cardinals are right now. It's just these margins are very, very slim. And today they were fortunate to get 2 key swings from the 9-hole batter and then the number 2-hole batter with homers in the 2nd inning. Offensively, outside of that, not able to muster anything. There are going to be games where starting pitching doesn't go 7 and give you 7 innings of 2-run baseball like Sonny Gray did tonight. And there are going to be games where the bullpen's not going to be able to hold the close leads, and some of those nights you'd like to not have to worry about the leads being so close. But kind of hard to feel too bad about the way it went tonight for the Cardinals. They were at least able to get it. Let's hear from Cardinals manager Ollie Marmol while we're on the subject about just the close margins and how close it really was and how it could have gone the other direction if not for the contributions of Masyn Winn. Let's hear a little bit more about that throw from the Cardinals manager, courtesy of Bally Sports Midwest.
Go from that to the play at the end of the game. How many other shortstops attempt that play? Like most would pocket that ball, I'd imagine, right?
There's some wow moments throughout the course of the year. That play, I mean, I don't know who else makes that. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's an absolute cannon, and he's done a nice job of using it when he needs to. He needed to right there, and game over. That was impressive to watch.
Ollie Marmol recognizing that it was a special play by Masyn Winn to wrap things up tonight for the Cardinals and their win over the Rays. But again, this also doesn't happen without the contributions from Sonny Gray. Gave up the 2-run homer in the first inning, had a 30-pitch inning. Even after the 2-run shot, it seemed like there's an infield hit. Was going to potentially, or it may have been ruled, actually. I have to go back and check the box scoring on this one. It was an error on Masyn Winn, his 11th error of the season. But another base runner and just kind of things starting to spiral a little bit. It seemed as though that could have been almost a knockout blow mentally for Sonny Gray, but gets through the inning, allowing no more than the 2-run homer on the scoreboard on the 30 pitches, and then just hyper efficiency thereafter. And Sonny Gray talked after the game about how maybe was feeling kind of sluggish coming into this one for whatever reason, and sort of got the energy boost from what his offense was able to provide him. That's an honest explanation. Let's listen to some of that from post-game courtesy of Bally Sports Midwest on Sonny Gray, just talking about kind of how maybe was not, feeling the most energetic, but it was his offense that really provided the boost that he needed to be able to say, I'm going to keep it right here and make sure we win this game, and I'm not going to be the reason we don't.
I think the biggest adjustment was just the guys picking me up right away. Put us in a hole early, and it was a long, ugly first inning, and we just kind of weren't there. Came back and loaded the bases, and then didn't score, and then went back out and put up a 0, and then from there we had 2 big 2-run homers, I think all with 2 outs. And as soon as that happened, after the first one, I was like, okay, let's go, Sonny. Like, in my head, I was just thinking, keep them here, no more. And then we hit the next one, and I was just like, okay. In my head, I was thinking, like, this game's over.
A little bit from Sonny Gray right there. I want to kind of interject and give some thoughts. Just that's the ace mentality that you want when you maybe don't have the best situation to begin the day. And he mentions the Cardinals did load the bases there, and that was when Arenado had the double play and really kind of took the wind out of your sails a little bit. But to be able to put up a 0 and then allow for the Cardinals offense to go to work from there, Sonny Gray, as that inning was progressing, he sees they tied it and say, hey, I'm going to keep it there. And then when they took the lead on Tommy's home run, his thought process switches to now this game's over. And the fact that he was basically able to, obviously not go a complete game, and that would have been really impressive after a 30-pitch first, but to be able to kind of settle it in and basically ensure that this game was kind of over at that point, that's what the Cardinals need out of Sonny Gray. He's got to be that ace. Again, what are the areas of the team? Who are the players on this team that can ascend their game over the final 7 weeks or so of this season so that we can stop saying the Cardinals aren't elite enough in any one area to overcome the deficiencies of those other areas of the team, because there will be areas of the team that lag behind in certain games. Tonight was a night where the offense lagged behind. Outside of just one inning, 4 dudes that contributed, Pages base hit, homer by Victor, Masyn Winn, and then the homer by Tommy. That's it. Outside of that, you got nothing from your offense. So, yeah, it's fair to say the offense had a bad night outside of that one little, 4 minutes of the evening. But Sonny picked them up. And look, that group of 4 players picked up the rest of the guys by having that second inning that they did. Sonny to give up 2 runs in the first and then go 6 scoreless the rest of the way, picks up the rest of the team. Helsley wasn't perfect, but did enough. Kittredge had a clean 1-2-3/8. I mean, these are the things that you're looking for. The defense picks up, Helsley when he wasn't maybe 100% his sharpest, was giving up some base runners. Masyn Winn makes sure that he might have made an error earlier in the game, but he didn't make one there. Made the play of the game defensively. So it's those sorts of things that the Cardinals, they're just going to have falling in their direction. And Sonny Gray wasn't just sitting around waiting for it to happen tonight. He made it happen. little more from Sonny Gray, because I do want to address the part that he says at the end of his interview that they showed on Bally Sports Midwest, where he talked about coming into the game a little bit sluggish. I saw some people on Twitter maybe kind of poo-pooing that a little bit, the notion that he could be sluggish, but I just want to kind of let y'all hear for yourself what I'm referring to, and then we'll continue on.
I mean, I didn't have a ton of energy. Going into it a little sluggish. And then once we responded the way we did, I felt like it was up to me at that point to show up and for us to go win the game.
I think it's just kind of human nature that sometimes, even as a pro athlete, you might just have a feel, whether it's something that happens out in the bullpen or just as you get out there on the mound, you're like, it just doesn't feel right. And that, I don't think that's something to necessarily, put down Sonny for, if that's the way he felt to begin the game. I think maybe some people have an issue, honestly, with, and let me know if I'm off base on this in the comments, but you might just not like that Sonny is as honest as he is about when he's feeling a certain way, because he is kind of an open book in a lot of ways. In some ways, he's not. I kind of cut the clip for part of Sonny's answers tonight because he was just kind of vague, was asked about, hey, remember a couple times ago you said you had to kind of reignite and reinvest yourself in certain things, and is that what you did, and that's how you've had success a couple starts in a row? And he basically didn't answer the question in any meaningful way, so I didn't play the clip. But like, in a lot of ways, he will kind of be an open book with certain answers, and I feel like sometimes maybe that's to his detriment because it allows fans to kind of harp on certain things that are otherwise, like, if he doesn't say them out loud, nobody really is going to know any better, and it's not necessarily something that's a big deal to say, a guy came out, felt sluggish, I'm just being honest, and then I got some energy from the guys being able to pick me back up, I think is a very normal team sports thing to have happen. So I didn't mind anything that Sonny Gray said in that regard. But it was a nice, largely pretty tidy little win for the Cardinals tonight. They certainly needed it to be able to avoid the skid lasting any longer. And now look, when you win game one of a series, I came in thinking the Cardinals would win 2 of 3. You're facing Taj Bradley and Shane Baz in the next 2 days. So, those are not going to be easy young pitchers to take on, but it is a right-hander that the Cardinals get to face tomorrow. You do still get to have a decent pitching lineup of your own with Eric Fetty making his first start at Busch Stadium as a Cardinal. That'll be fun to see on Wednesday night. And then Thursday, that game, the series finale against the Rays, I believe is going to be Gibby going up against Shane Baz. So Cardinals really, if you win the first one, there's always a chance to sweep it, but got to walk before you run. So game 2 is going to be a big one for the Cardinals to try to keep some positive momentum moving forward. But before we get out of here tonight, let's go ahead and take a trip down to the minor league portion of the organization by going down on the farm. It's time to go down on the farm. Brought to you by Hastings Layers Premium Eggs.
You'll be happier than a jackass eating thistle.
Huh? Tonight, some notable news to share from both Memphis and Springfield as the Memphis Redbirds got the 7-6 win over Gwinnett. The Stripers, I believe that's of the Braves organization, and in fact it is, as I look at the box score, Michael Harris rehabbing there for the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves, led off and got on base a couple of times, 1 for 4 with a walk. Just keeping an eye on him for fantasy purposes. Don't mind me over here, but I would like to have Michael Harris back in my lineup. From the Cardinals' perspective, though, what you need to know is that Steven Matz made another rehab start. 2 2/3 innings. Looks like he was on about a 50-pitch count because that's what he ended up with, 34 strikes, 50 total pitches. So, pounded strikes pretty reasonably. 2 2/3, 3 hits, 2 walks, did give up a singular run. Not bad. You kind of take that. He's got a 2.7 ERA this year with Memphis, but I think that's over the course of maybe a couple different rehab stints. But at any rate, Steven Matz progressing up to 50 pitches. They are stretching him out to be a starter. I don't know where the hell they're going to put him, but I think it makes sense to line him up that way and get him ready just in case you need him. You never know. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If you have a veteran starter that's making his way back from an injury and, stuff starts going haywire at the big league level, that's always a good thing to have. They can always dial him back, I think, if needed. But the other name to mention from the AAA Cardinals, well, there's a couple of them from the Redbirds tonight. I'll give Luken Baker his love first. He was 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs tonight. OPS at 896. And, yeah, he went deep twice. 2 homers, 29 and 30, one including a walk-off by Luken Baker. Heck yeah, I want to see the guy get his shot. Every time we talk about him, it seems like we're talking about another homer that he's hit. But right now it seems like the Cardinals are content to leave him in AAA. You could make a case for him. You could make a case for probably not as strong of a case for Sajacy to be kind of the right-handed bat that could be added to the Cardinals bench mix simply because Sajacy is not on the 40-man roster. But Luken Baker would be interesting. You could Ivan Herrera obviously make a case for him. He was not in the lineup tonight at AAA. Fermin was starting at shortstop, so they're getting him some additional work at shortstop. He was 2 for 4 in the game. And then obviously somebody else that you could make a case for. Mike Antico had 2 home runs as well, starting in center field tonight. His OPS 771. He's a guy, I'm not sure, if he, not really prospect status, 26 years old, but, is a nice piece of the organizational puzzle. And we'll see. Maybe at some point Antico gets a look. I think Koperniak probably ahead of him in the pecking order. Koperniak is hitting .317 with an 886 OPS in Memphis this year. Had 2 runs scored tonight after going 1 for 4 with a walk. But Jordan Walker is the name I wanted to mention because J-Walk had another nice game for the Redbirds. 2 for 5, scored a run, had a double. And Kareem on Twitter, at Kareem SSN, does a lot of tweeting and covering the minors. Said Jordan Walker has recorded 11 batted ball events in his StatCast tracked career with exit velos of 112.4 miles per hour or higher. Only 2 such hits have had launch angles of above 4 degrees, which basically means get it off the ground, Jordan. Both of them have come in the last 6 games for Jordan Walker. This double tonight was a nice line drive to the left. Literally just left fielder was going back on the ball. He had to leap up into the air to try to catch it, and it just smacked off the wall because it got out there so quickly. 113.3 off the bat, 14-degree launch angle. Not a ground ball is basically what we're talking about. He is more than beginning to drive the ball. Walker is scorching the ball, and again, the video, I'll go ahead and retweet Kareem from my account if anybody missed it. It's a nice swing by Jordan Walker. Maybe there's some Ryan Ludwig going on there as well. Who knows? But you got to feel very good about the progress he is making. Really, last couple of weeks or so, Jordan Walker has been looking like a different guy at the plate. I think the Cardinals are going to have, and I've said, when asked, this was a topic on the show earlier Tuesday. Remember, I didn't record Monday night. That's going to happen, by the way, from time to time, where I'll do the podcast in the morning. Honestly, for my sleep schedule, it would be better if I could just commit to always doing it in the morning. But I know that I've got my people that listen overnight, or people that are overseas or wherever the case might be tuning in, and so I want to, as often as I can, continue to keep it going in the overnights like I am this time. But there will be times where it's just probably better for me to do it in the morning. But this morning, when I took some questions, one of them was, is Jordan Walker going to play for the Cardinals this year? And my answer was unequivocally, yes. I do think he is going to end up getting the call-up at some point. It may not be till the September call-up happens, but yes, I do think Jordan Walker will make his way back. Right now, I mean, you could make a case that slotting him in there in... Now, I'll look tonight, for example, like Gorman hasn't been playing as often. Getting him going would obviously be to the Cardinals' benefit. Right now, they're already having like Nootbaar and Burleson sort of trade off. Like Nootbaar has not played a bunch against lefties. We've seen Burleson sit against lefty at times. Gorman is eligible to do so if Donovan's out there available to play second base. Donovan was actually out of the lineup tonight. So if the Cardinals want to really lean all the way into this platoon notion, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world because a lot of their lefties don't hit well against lefties. That being said, Victor Scott's homer tonight did come off of a lefty. I believe I saw on Twitter he was the first Cardinal to have a left-on-left homer as his first career homer since Max Schrock did it back in 2021, for whatever that's worth. So, but largely they do have a lot of lefties that have not performed as well against lefties, which could then open the door for some guys like Jordan Walker. Have him here, and if he doesn't play every single game, whatever that is, but against lefties, maybe that would be a particular situation where the Cardinals load the whole lineup with right-handed batters, as many as they can fit in there, which is what they're doing now. They just don't have anybody on their bench, really, other than the backup catcher that hits right-handed on a daily basis. Have more of them, and then when the opposing team goes to lefties in their bullpen or goes to righties in their bullpen, Ollie Marmol would then have a balanced bench to be able to react to that. That would sort of be the idea. And regardless, I think Jordan Walker is coming before too long. So anyway, that's my update from AAA. Another good night for Jaywalk. 2 for 5, had a scorched double, which I have retweeted the video of at my Twitter account at b-schaefer12. So feel free to go check that out. Let's talk AA, though, because Quinn Matthews is quickly ascending into the number 1 Cardinals pitching prospect. I probably have him ranked above Tink Hence at this point, simply because even coming out of the draft, I said, this is interesting. 4th-round pick, Quinn Matthews. The durability of this guy is what is attractive. You don't have to worry about innings limits or pitch limits or pitch counts or anything like that with Quinn Matthews. The dude threw 156 pitches in one game at Stanford. Everybody freaked out about it, but guess what? That tells me something about the way this dude is built. And he's left-handed. He's a big dude. I think he could be a major league workhorse. I'm not going to go too crazy about, he's going to be in the opening day rotation in 2025, but he could be to Memphis before the end of this season. I mean, 6 innings, shutout baseball tonight, gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, and had 11, count them up, 11 strikeouts for Quinn Matthews tonight in the AA win for the Springfield Cardinals. 11-0, the Springfield club got the win. Just unbelievable stuff right now from Quinn Matthews, who is 23 years old. He's 6'5", 188, according to the MLB.com player page I'm looking at. Probably could stand to put on a little bit more weight, but 6'5", the frame, 23 years old. He's going to continue to probably gain strength as he continues in a professional program. He has been rapidly ascending through the ranks. Started in low A this year, dominated, worked his way up to high A in Peoria, dominated, and now you're seeing him basically doing the same stuff at Springfield at the AA level. Just really, really impressive, the start that he's had to his major league career. His minor league, his professional career. They didn't pitch him at all in 2023 after drafting him because they said, well, he ate a lot of innings there in college. But they said, we're going to give him the rest off from the rest of the season in affiliated baseball. But they've basically allowed him to kind of do his thing this year. 1.47 ERA in Palm Beach, bump him up. 2.68 ERA in Peoria, bump him up. And now he's seen 32 2/3 innings at Springfield, which is more than he had in total at the A-ball level. It was up to 43.2 innings, 43 2/3 innings at Peoria before he got the call-up. I wouldn't be shocked to see Quinn Matthews get a call-up and maybe even after a start or 2 more. Maybe they do it now. Probably not now. Especially with you got Steven Matz occupying a spot down there and stuff in AAA. But he's at a 3.31 ERA, 32 2/3 innings at AA right now, 41 strikeouts. He is the pitching prospect that was promised. I really think Quinn Matthews could be the one. And I was saying ahead of the trade deadline, this is a guy I'm not entertaining. He was the only one I said that about. Now, Tink Hence, I said, you're probably not even having that conversation because he was injured at the time, just coming off of an injury. You know, that was probably a non-starter. But I just, for the Cardinals, and they weren't moving him either. That was just never going to be the case. This guy's got 151 strikeouts this year in 107 innings. I'm still mad at ESPN for not putting him on the fantasy baseball list when I looked because I would have had him. I would have had him on my dynasty leagues. But Quinn Matthews, keep an eye out. By 2025, I'm not saying he's going to be in the rotation opening day, but they might have themselves a dude in Quinn Matthews by midseason next year. Look, he can come into spring training and earn favor, not maybe earn a spot, although it's not impossible that he could, but earn that, okay, this is your first man up if you need one sort of vibe. I think he's ascending. Innings are not really a huge concern. He's up at 107. He'll probably get to, 100 depending on how efficient he is in his starts, 130, 140 this year. He'll be just fine coming into next year, and workload shouldn't even really be a concern. So he just needs to keep up what he's doing because it's been very impressive. But that's Down on the Farm for today. Thanks again to Hastings Layers Premium Eggs. Appreciate those guys and everybody for listening, tuning in as always. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Big win for the Cardinals on Tuesday. We'll see if they can replicate it Wednesday night with Eric Fetty making his Busch Stadium debut for the Cardinals, taking on Taj Bradley. Appreciate you guys, as always, for listening to tonight's episode, and we will talk to you next time on B-Schaeff Daily. Peace.